today's conversation with NLP and Ken. Can you break bad habits with NLP? To eliminate bad habits once and for all, utilizing the skills of NLP. Ponder the habits that you may be needing to eliminate. Listen to the great stylings of commands. So, share with friends if you have a bad habit. Do you have a pattern that you'd like to eliminate? So, great philosophy around NLP is that if our brain is programmed, then perhaps we can program our brain to do different things. And NLP has been used for, well, decades, upwards of a good 50 years or so, maybe. Tony Robbins made it famous by utilizing it to eliminate phobias, and all of the work that he does is certainly well rooted in neurolinguistic programming. He now calls it and refers to it as neuroassociative conditioning. But the question before us here is, can you use NLP to eliminate or break bad habits, bad patterns? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can. As a matter of fact, the patterns were originally formed other than consciously, which would be using NLP, wouldn't it? We condition these patterns, these habits. And I'll use an example, smoking. So I was once a smoker. I once used to smoke cigarettes and the like. And what was interesting is I was able to finally quit when I utilized and captured and based my transformation plan in some of the rootings of NLP. And how did I do it? Well, the first thing is I decided, right? I decided I no longer wanted to smoke. It was not healthy. It wasn't bad habits. You don't have any. Beautiful. Perhaps that's a bad habit, thinking you don't have any. Because we all have habits that are sometimes less than resourceful. But let's look at this as, pragmatically and from the idea of how neurolinguistic programming can support the transformation. So when I looked at my smoking, and this is going back, I haven't smoked in 30 plus years, is the decision, first of all, to no longer want to smoke. But then I took it a step further and I realized, I said, well, what am I doing here? I'm referring to myself as a smoker, and smokers smoke. So in efforts to transform my relationship with smoking, I needed to change myself. So what I needed to do was change my identity in relationship to smoking. I changed my identity from being a smoker to being a healthy contributor to society, a vibrant, energetic person who treats their body as a temple. So through that identity, my behaviors were easier to stay on track as a non-smoker. Because smokers smoke. Healthy, vibrant, energetic contributors to society don't. They don't abuse their bodies with such materials. Now, what's interesting is through the model of NLP, I would model and I would ask people who were no longer smoking, I would ask them, would you consider yourself to be a smoker? And they said, well, of course not. I am not a smoker. Smokers smoke. But when I would ask people who struggled with the idea of no longer smoking, they would call themselves a smoker and that they just weren't smoking. And the challenge there is that if you identify as a smoker, say, I am a smoker, well, when you're not smoking, you feel like you're being incongruent. You feel like you are not doing the behaviors that you should be doing as a smoker. And I'll give you a great example of that. My mother's husband smoked, and he quit because he had open heart surgery and he had all these challenges that and a stroke, and like, you got to stop smoking. And he's always pissed off. He's irritated that that he couldn't smoke anymore. And I would ask him, I say, Tom, would you consider yourself a smoker? And he'd say, yes, I'm a smoker, and when I'm 75, I'm going to start smoking again. Well, as you can imagine, that is a very challenging place to be. If you consider yourself to be a smoker and you're not smoking, this is painful. This is not sustainable. So early in my days, when I decided, that's it, I'm no longer a smoker, and I changed my identity, that helped me program my mind, my other than conscious, to do and behave the way non-smokers behave. And then years later, after I was working with Tony Robbins and really full into NLP and coaching and speaking and so forth, I remembered my father used to smoke. And when I was about 14 or 15 years old, he quit smoking. And I remember he quit cold turkey. And he smoked 2 packs of Camel unfiltered a day. 2 packs of unfiltered Camel cigarettes a day. And he inhaled them, obviously. And so many years later, he hasn't smoked for many years. I asked him, it was decades, right? 30 years, 25 years, he hadn't smoked. And I asked him, I said, Dad, I was just curious, when you remember when you quit smoking? He's like, yeah, that was brutal. I said, how did you do it? And he said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, how did you just stop out of nowhere, just stop in cold turkey? How did you keep not smoking? And he said, I decided I wasn't a smoker anymore. Now, he was never into neurolinguistic programming, never into personal development of any real sort. This was a decision that he made, and that is what supported him. It was helpful for him to say he's a non-smoker. And then we took this into the treatment world. We said, okay, so let's look at that model and how could we use this in the realm and the mind of psychology, the mind of recovery. And so I would ask, what do addicts do? Because in one of the programs in AA, one of the positions is to say, hi, I'm blank and I'm an addict. And then I would ask people, I say, well, what does an addict do? And most of the time we get responses like use, do drugs, drink, lie, cheat, steal, things of that nature. So I presented, I said, well, imagine you met somebody and they said, hi, hi, I'm Doug. I lie, cheat, steal, use, abuse. You want to hang out? And of course I was like, no, of course I wouldn't want to hang out with you. You're lie, cheat, steal, use, right? But if that's what you believe, if the identity around addict is lie, cheat, steal, abuse, use, etc., you wouldn't even want to hang out with yourself if you wanted that transformation. So we want to look at how are we showing up and are we identifying as the actual addiction? I am a smoker. I'm a procrastinator. I'm lazy. See, all of these experiences as an identity reinforce the bad habits to begin with. Does that make sense? Aha. So, food for thought. If you're looking to change some part of your life, some part of your habits, look at your relationship with that habit, with that behavior, and notice if you are owning it as part of who you are or who you are exclusively, or is it just a behavior? And what NLP does is it helps us step away from that because people are not their behaviors, right? That's one of the presuppositions of NLP, and then allows us the opportunity in the space to work on those behaviors to live into the ideal identity. You are a rock star. I'm guessing, I hope this is Daniel, I'm guessing, or let's see. I'm just going to go looking right now and see. And I don't know. Let's see. Who is it? Yeah. Well, you're all rock stars. So with that being said, I love you for who you are and who you aren't, and I will see you next time. All right, God bless. It's Michael. That's what I thought. Or not. Sorry. We're all rock stars. We will see you soon, and I will catch up with you later. God bless.